Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to yet another exciting content on Technovation. We are going to continue building the third part of our four-part video series on multi-agent systems. So if you have directly popped in here, I'm going to sincerely request you to go back and watch part number 1 and 2. I'm going to leave the link in the description box below. So what are we going to build in this section? We're going to focus on building an agentic RAG, which is going to retrieve information from a PDF store. And then we're going to head over to building an email agent, where we're going to build an email template based on the information that we have retrieved from the agentic RAG. With that very short introduction, let's go ahead to VS Code and start building it. Thank you very much and see you in the next section. Welcome to this section of the video. Let's get started. We will first dive onto GitHub repository and see our Git repo. On my screen, you can see the Git repo. Under multi-agent graph, there is a folder called src, and under that you have agents where all the notebook files exist. Now, the notebook for this particular video has not been uploaded yet. I am working on a separate branch and I'm going to merge it to the main after the video is over. Fantastic. Let's head over to VS Code. The first thing that we are going to do is take a look at the policy document which I have prepared and placed under documents. It's a very simple document. I've grabbed some information from the internet, passed on to Gemini and asked Gemini to create a PDF for me, and it did a fabulous job. Fine, let me close this. I'm going to restart the kernel so that all the directory settings are reset. Because if you see, I am under my agent folder. However, I have to read my documents from the documents folder. So that's the reason I have to traverse two-step upward, go from agents to source, and then I'll reach documents. And I'm going to read the document using PyPDF loader. So a very standard process flow of a RAG system. First, I'm going to parse the document. Then I'm going to split the document using the recursive text splitter. Once I have the multiple splits of the document, I'm going to embed that using OpenAI embeddings. You are free to use any other embeddings, but I'm going to use the OpenAI embeddings because I found that a little better than the open source ones. And once the embeddings are available, I'm going to store the embeddings in a ChromaDB, which I am hosting it locally. Fair enough. Let me execute the first part. Yes, the total number of splits that it has made from this particular PDF is 13, where my chunk size is 1000 and overlap is 500. Now you can play with this based on your particular use case. Once I have the splits, it is time to read the OpenAI key. And where is the OpenAI key? The OpenAI key exists inside my .env file. Moving forward, I have my LLM model. I'm going to use ChatGPT 3. You can use 5 as well, because as of this reporting, 5 is the default one which is available under the API. But I'm a little cost conscious because 5 is a little costlier than 3.5, and for my use case 3.5 is doing a fairly good job. I'm using OpenAI embeddings, and inside my vector store I'm going to persist the data under .chromadb policy. Let me execute this. Fair enough. The next two are the very simple steps. I'm going to initialize my OpenAI, and then I have my retrieve and generate tool. Let me take a moment to talk about this particular tool. This is the heart of this agent. I have already emphasized in my previous videos that the way you instruct an LLM to use a tool more effectively is by giving a fantastic document string or a doc string. So the importance of the doc string is enormous. You have to be very illustrative in your docstring write-up. So here I have mentioned retrieve information related to the query. Then you have the input query, which is your question, and then the returns, which is nothing but your answer. Retrieve docs has a similarity search on the vector store where k equals to 2, and once the results are coming up, I'm stitching them one after the other. Here is a prompt. Prompt is a system prompt, and you are saying you are an assistant for question answering tasks, and you are going to use the context to answer your question. What is the context? The context is nothing but your CRL, serialized variable, which has all the stitched chunks. Fair enough. Let me create this function. Moving forward, I'm going to initialize the tool. I'm not going to go through these details again because in the previous video we did a thorough run through of all these steps. The next one is your tool calling. I'm going to execute tool calling, and then I'm going to create the graph. This is your lang graph which is getting created. So you have your tool calling, and based on your tool calling, it is invoking any one of the tools. For the time being, this particular agent is limited to only one tool. And then finally, I'm invoking the graph wherein I have a question. What is the formula to calculate the leave management amount for an employee as per the policy? Let's see what is the response coming up. You can see it is rightly given the tool message. So the human message was, what is the formula to calculate the leave encashment amount, which is nothing but the question which I passed on. The AI message, it did a tool call, which says retrieve and generate the tool. And finally, the tool message was the leave encashment formula is monthly salary divided by 30 multiplied by number of days to be encashed. Perfect. Let me just try to extract the tool message from here. I'm going to execute this, and I get my tool message. Let me get rid of this empty cell, right? So here, the AI message is the leave encashment formula is this, right? Now we're going to utilize this formula. How we are going to use it, that is something which we will see in the last part of the video, where we stitch all these outputs from the multiple agents together. It's time to head over to the next agent, which is create email agent. Time to take a look at the email agent. The process flow is very similar to the RAG agent which we just looked at in the previous section. However, the functionality is definitely different. Now I have two versions of it. The first version is with LangGraph, and the other one is without creating a graph but just using the create react agent, which comes automatically out of the LangGraph framework. Let's start with the first version. The first step is to again read the env file. At this point of time, I'm there under the same directory. Or just to be sure, let me restart the kernel. Next is define the OpenAI client, and then the generate email tool. As always, docstring plays a very important role. I have the docstring here. It returns an email with the following information about the employee. Number one, number of leaves. Number two, the total encashment amount. And number three, the purpose of the email. If you are able to connect the dots here, please see the number of leaves are coming from my Flask API. The total encashment amount is actually coming from my previous agent, which is the RAG agent. So I'm taking the formula from the RAG agent and asking the LLM to apply the number of leaves and salary on top of that particular formula and calculate the total encashment amount, and then the purpose of the email. When I'm executing this particular agent, I will definitely not have the information from the previous two agents. So I'm going to tweak my prompt in some way so that the prompt can have those information already available. When we go to the last part, we're going to ask the LLM to find those information or calculate those information and then arrive at the final state of generating the email. I have my parameters, number of leaves, total encashment, and then the purpose. Finally, a very similar prompt wherein please write any short email to the HR manager with the following information: number of leaves, total leave encashment value, purpose, and that's it. Let me execute this. I'll execute from the top once more just to be sure that everything is loaded in memory. Then I have my tools, then the tool calling LLM. This part of the section is very similar to the RAG agent. And then my process flow. And finally, I'm going to ask it to write an agent. Let's look at the prompt. Write an email to encash 15 earned leaves. Now this number 15, as I said, I'm providing over here just as a sample. But then when we stitch everything together, ideally this number 15 should be pulled from the Flask API. The total valuation is going to be calculated based on the formula which comes up from my RAG agent. And then all this information together will be sent to the email generator agent. And this is what the response is going to look like. Let's take a look at the tool message. Request for immediate processing of earned leave encashment. Dear HR manager, I'm going to write the request on immediate processing. Now here it is not very read friendly. We will go to Langsmith and take a look at it. I don't think we have spoken about Langsmith yet, right? That's an important topic to cover. Let's go over and start with Langsmith. Then I'm going to just print the AI message from here. Fine. Till now, we haven't seen Langsmith. So what is Langsmith? Langsmith is a framework which helps us to monitor all these agent calls. So what have I done? I've gone to my .env file and I have my Langsmith endpoint and Langsmith API key and the project name highlighted. What happens is the moment I say Langsmith tracing equals to true, all these actions or the sequence of actions that the agent is performing is going to be registered on my Langsmith API and I can take a look at it. Let me run this notebook and go to my Langsmith API and take a look at it. I think we have already run it, so we can straight away go to my Langsmith API. I'm going to my Langsmith API, do a refresh. I think I can close this. Let me go to the last 1 hour. What was the project name that we had created? It was the leave agent, right? We are on leave agent and we're going to see the latest response. The first one is my line graph, which says, this is the human prompt. Write an email to encash 15 earned leaves. What was the output? The output was invoke generate email. Let's go to the tool call. Yes, the tool call was generate email. Let's go to the actual tool call now. And this is where you can see the actual output which has come out of the tool calling agent. It says request for immediate information of the earned leaves. Let me quickly copy this. Let me quickly copy this. I'll open up text editor or maybe my Sublime. And you can see, let me get rid of all this. And you can see the subject requesting immediate processing of earned leaves. Then I have 2 blank lines. Dear HR manager, I have a total of 15 earned leaves. Total encashment is 32,000 INR. And that's it. And this is nothing significant. Best regards. And I think I'm done. This is something I can ignore because this is the metadata of that particular tool call. Fair enough. So this is how you can see Langsmith helps us to track the entire processing of an email agent. Now, let's do this. Let's go back to my rack policy agent. Let me run this one once more. I'm going to restart the kernel and I'm going to run all of them. Why am I going to do this? I want to track or trace this operation on my Langsmith again. Did it run? Yes, I think it ran successfully. Let me go back. Okay. You see this? This is the latest one because write an email was the one before this one. And now I have what is the formula to calculate my leave encashment amount? Let's go ahead and check this. All right, Langsmith editor. You can see the first tool call was tool calling LLM. Under tool calling LLM, you have the human question. What was the output? The output was retrieve and generate this particular tool call. So this was invoked from my retrieve and tool call agent. I should be able to see my query was leave encashment formula. And what was the output? The output was, yes, this is the one. Monthly basic divided by 30, number of days to be encashed. If I take you to my VS Code and go over here, let me do a control F. Encashment. Live encashment, yes, you can see this is the formula. Monthly basic salary divided by 30 multiplied by number of days to be encashed. Perfect. Okay, now we've built two agents. Number one is my leave policy agent, and number two is my email agent. This brings us to the end of this video. If you are there with me till now, I would sincerely request you to jump over to the next video where we bring all these agents into action by building a true multi-agent system right from the scratch. Before I leave, a gentle reminder as always. If you have liked this content, please subscribe and feel free to share your feedback. Thank you very much. See you in the very next video.